South Dakota season came to an end over the weekend with a FCS quarterfinal loss at the hands of North Dakota State. And here to talk a little bit more about that, but more about the season as a whole, is our good buddy Chris Strevler on the season finale of See It Like Strev. Chris, and I know you enjoyed this ride as much as anyone. It was a banner year in a lot of ways, maybe without the banner for South Dakota, but certainly something to celebrate here in 2023 for that program.
Yeah, I mean, best season in program history at the FCS level, getting deep to the quarterfinals, and such a young team. I just feel like, with Coach Nielsen, his leadership, and all the young guys they have coming back next year, they're only scratching the surface of what this team is going to be capable of doing. And again, such a fun season to follow as an alumni, and just can't wait to see how they can build on this next year and in the years to come.
Well, let's take a look at some of the pieces that are still in place, and certainly every good team has a good quarterback, and it appears with the way Bouman's been playing since taking over the starter that the Yotes certainly have their man. So what did you see out of the signal caller this year that you really liked?
We've talked about Aiden a lot this season, and like you said, if you're going to be a good team, you got to have a good quarterback, and I'm a fan of Aiden, man. His game, to watch him develop and get more comfortable, starting with that Missouri game all the way to the end of the year, has been awesome to watch. And the one thing we've highlighted throughout this entire season is he's done a tremendous job taking care of the ball, not only this season, but last season when he got his opportunity as well. So as we've always said on this, if your quarterback's taking care of the ball, you're not turning it over, you're always going to have a chance to win games. And he's just done a tremendous job of that this season. Moving forward into next season, I just want to see him continue to develop in the RPO game. Obviously, the run game for them is going to be extremely important. It's kind of the base of their offense. It makes everything go. And he did a great job of that this season, putting the ball in play, taking advantage of bubbles, some of those glances, and like I said, RPOs. And the more he can continue to master that along with the play action game, it's going to be great for them. Understanding when to take a shot, but also understanding, hey, the defense is sinking back. There's nothing there. Let me take my check down, put the ball in play. I think he did a great job of that as the season went on, but that's something he's going to need to continue to develop at going into next season and as he continues to develop and get better. And then the other thing that I just love to see him continue to work on, and I saw him improve a lot on this season as well, is extending plays both in and outside the pocket. His pocket movement is great. He has great feel there, and he's done a great job pushing the ball downfield on some of those extended plays. But when he can get out of the pocket and extend plays with his legs, maybe get 1 or 2 first downs a game with his legs, it just puts a ton of pressure on the defense. So I'd love to see him continue to focus on that going into the offseason and build on some of those things that he did well and some other areas that can continue to push this offense forward going into next season.
Yeah, final numbers this year for Aiden: 67% completions, 2,551 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 1 rushing TD as well. But through his career now, 17 games as a starter, better than a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That is a number any coach loves to see. And his coach as offensive coordinator, of course, Josh Davis, just wrapped up year 1 in that role for South Dakota. Obviously some room for improvement here. This is just a jumping off point for Coach Davis, but there was a lot to like from that first season.
I loved watching this offense develop throughout the year. Again, being at that first game in Missouri, they just kept it very vanilla. Obviously, they're installing a new offense. They're still trying to find their way. But then moving forward from there, it was just really, really awesome to see them kind of find their identity as an offense and develop within that. And they have so many great young guys coming back next year. It's going to be extremely exciting. You got Galbraith, a guy we've highlighted a ton, moving him throughout the offense, putting him in the backfield, obviously tight end, doing some blocking stuff, being a threat in the pass game, splitting him out wide. It was really cool to see how they used him. Travis Tice, another guy who, running back, played some fullback, catching the ball out of the backfield. Guys like that are extremely versatile, I think are going to continue to play a massive role in this offense as they develop, into next year and beyond. We've also highlighted some of their great running back depth. They've got so many good young running backs. And as we mentioned earlier, that's kind of going to be the focal point for this offense. They want to establish the run, which opens up the RPOs and the play action stuff for them. And then up front, everything starts up front. You've heard me give the big old lineman up front some love this year, and man, we just talked about it. They got 4 starters returning next year, and a 5th guy that got some experience this year. So when you have that much experience coming back on offense, some of your best playmakers, your quarterback, experience up front, I think this offense is poised to take a giant leap forward next season.
Yeah, career years for Carter Bell, Jack Martins at the wide receiver spot. Obviously, J.J. Galbraith we've talked about in droves this season. That loaded running back room. You mentioned Tice, Nate Thomas, Charles Pierre Jr., Keandre Jones, L.J. Phillips. We got to see a little bit of him against Western Illinois. And then, of course, that returning depth on the offensive line. All good things. The cupboard far from bare for Josh Davis as he gets set to plan for year 2 as the Coyotes offensive coordinator. On the other side of the ball, Travis Johansson had his best season as the defensive coordinator. That was a group that got after it from week 1 and all the way through the year. Obviously, that was a rough way to finish what was a tremendous year for the USD defense, but some big holes to fill here. Certainly, you want to talk about guys, Chris, that are out of eligibility or have declared for the NFL draft like Miles Harden did Monday. Brock Mogensen gone, Stephen Hillis gone, Brendan Webb, Mike Arone, both gone along that defensive line, and then, of course, Harden in the secondary. They've got some big holes to fill here, certainly.
I mean, look, super excited for Miles Harden. That's an outstanding opportunity being able to declare for the NFL, hopefully get invited to the Combine and onward from there. So really excited for him, but you're exactly right. There's going to be some really big pieces to fill coming up in the next season. But just from an overall defensive structure standpoint, again, awesome to watch them develop. The first few games, very vanilla. They play their defense. They play it well. They're going to bend but don't break. Amazing red zone defense, and they were able to, they gave up some yards early on, but they always seemed to hunker down, force teams into a field goal, get a big sack or a takeaway, and really keep teams out of the end zone. And when you do that, again, you always have a chance to win. But going into the later games of the year, especially that playoff game against Sac State, I loved the way that they mixed up their defensive looks and showed different variations with pressures, different corner cats, mugging linebackers, dropping out, showing cover 0, playing coverage. It was just really, really fun to see how they started with their normal, too high kind of quarters defense with the apex defenders, and then towards the end of the season, they're showing you cover 0. They're bringing different blitzes, and I think that really confused other offenses and threw off their timing and helped that defense develop. And that's going to be something that's going to, take some pressure off some new guys going into next season, where if they can give different looks and kind of confuse defenses, it helps put guys in a position to make plays. And I think another thing they did extremely well with Mogi this year is they dealt with mobile quarterbacks very well. There was times throughout the season where they played quite a few mobile quarterbacks. They would bring a 3-man rush, kind of leave a linebacker to spy, and he was that extra guy. And they did an outstanding job dealing with those guys. And that's always something that this day and age in the game of football, you have to deal with mobile quarterbacks and get rid of that threat. And then again, they're bend but don't break mentality, right? They're going to keep everything in front of them. They're going to rally to the ball, gang tackle, and they might let you get in the red zone, but once you get down there, they're going to hunker down, they're going to get a sack, they're going to push you out to a deep field goal, hopefully force a miss or get a takeaway. So those are some things that they can continue to build on going into offseason, and again, it's going to be really cool to see how those looks we saw at the end of the year carry over into next year, and they build on that.
Yeah, bottom line, bright days ahead for South Dakota football based on the year they just had for Bob Nielsen and company. But that'll do it for See It Like Strev this year. Chris, got to thank you so much, man, for taking time each and every week out of your schedule. Know you're a busy guy, but, man, it has been a fun ride to be along with you, and we certainly appreciate all you've done to just come back and help us break down some Kyle football. So thanks so much, buddy.
Hey, man, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you for bringing me in on this. It's always fun talking with you and talking some Yote football, man. So hopefully this is just the beginning for us and just the beginning for the Yotes moving forward.